everyone. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to start in a hands and knees position, and I have my blanket and I have two blocks, and I have my blocks go ahead and set them at the top of my mat so that they're tall, so that they're reachable for me when we need them. And we'll start just hands and knees. So make your way, and I'm using a beach towel here, but a blanket would be fine. Sometimes I just use a small hand towel. We just need something that's going to be support underneath of our knees, and we'll find our way to our table. And we won't spend a lot of time in table because we're going to take our hands from here about two, I'd say almost 3 steps forward, maybe even a little more. Forehead makes its way down to your mat. And just here, just checking in. And really starting to notice your breath, maybe for the first time today. And just follow the inhales in, exhales out. Maybe starting to take a little inventory as to how the body feels. How you feel with your connection to your body. Maybe this is the first time you've thought of this today. And that's okay, no judgment. And taking a moment before we start to really move into our practice is to take a moment and just be grateful that you did this. You made it. You made it on your mat today, which can be a tremendous accomplishment with how busy our day can be. So take a moment and thank yourself for taking this time out of your day. And slowly we'll start to inch our elbows closer towards us, nice and slow. From here, we'll find, so make sure that you have good support underneath of your knees, and if you need to double your blanket up to accomplish that, that's always okay. And we'll start with some cat-cow movements. So we'll first start with drawing the chest forward, just gaze subtly in front of you, and on the exhale, we'll draw the chin in towards the chest, draw the chest towards the thighs. In this inhale, slowly start to shift our chest forward. And on the exhale, we'll slowly start to draw our chest towards our thighs. Head and neck can relax here, just be neutral, but you can also tuck the chin in towards the chest. On the inhale, we lengthen in through the front of the body. And on your exhale, we round once more. And you can exaggerate these movements to suit your needs. So don't feel you have to make them big, though. You can keep these movements simple and subtle. And just continuing your inhale, we shift forward, shining the light in the center of your chest forward. Gaze just subtle in front of you. I don't take my eyes further forward than the corners of my mat. On the exhale, we draw in, and we're not trying to gaze at anything there either. Just try to find what feels easy. And even eyes closed if that's best for you. Sometimes that really lets us get in touch with how the body feels. And we'll finish one more round. So we'll inhale, we'll shift forward. And your exhale will slowly start to round once more. And this time we'll come back to the nice neutral position. Let's go back to puppy once more. So we'll have from here, so walking the hands, 1, 2 steps, maybe closer to 3, maybe a little longer. Forehead rests down. And then elbows can relax, shoulders are getting nice and open here. And just returning right back to where we were and just noticing maybe how this pose feels different. So my forehead, I'm sitting with my forehead almost to the hairline. And slowly start to shift your hands closer towards you for support. We'll take the knees a little wide. So I'm going to take my knees almost to the outside edges of my mat. And then take your left hand right underneath of your face and reach right fingertips up towards the ceiling. We'll exhale, we'll bring the hand right back down. We'll switch out the hands. We'll do this a couple of times. We'll inhale, we'll lengthen, open up the heart. Exhale, we make our way back down. So switch out again, left hand under your face, inhale, right fingertips up. Exhale, we make our way down nice and slow. Last time here, this side. And we exhale, we come all the way back down. So from here, we'll walk the hands a little forward again. We'll curl toes under, we lengthen to plank on the exhale. Downward facing dog, sinking into the heels. In this inhale, we make our way back to our table and exhale to a child's pose. So maybe your first child's pose of the day. Feel free to widen the knees a little bit here. Just allow forehead to rest down to your mat, arms just nice and relaxed. In this next inhale, we make our way back up to our table. We'll walk the hands a little bit forward again. We'll start to think about when we come up to our plank to find wrists and shoulders nice and lined up, belly strong. So draw belly in on your exhale. Slowly sink into the hips or heels and reach the sits bones high. Then on this inhale, we make our way back down to our table, and on your exhale, finding your child's pose or puppy. Since we've done puppy today, you know puppy as well. And maybe for your child's pose, maybe hips don't quite make their way down to your heels, and that's okay too. Wherever you can let your forehead rest is perfect here as well. It just gets a little bit of a hip opener. And we'll take a second, maybe shift a little bit into the hips, a little side to side, just to start to open up the hips for poses to come. This inhale, we'll make our way up to table once more. Let's curl our toes under to lift our knees, and then just shift your blanket off of your mat for a moment. And we'll take our hands up towards the top part of our mat, and then we'll find another plank pose. So we want wrist and shoulders nice and lined up, curling toes under, straight spine, lengthen your plank. And this exhale, your downward facing dog. And then we'll start to walk our hands towards our feet. So take your time on this one. So nice and slow, bend knees as much as needed. And when you're all the way here, find your forward fold. Head and neck relaxes. And checking in with the even weight into your feet. If you'd like to take hands to opposite elbows for a moment, maybe stay grounded into your feet and kind of shift your torso a little bit from side to side. Just getting some deep stretches all along the backs of your legs. Let your head and neck relax here best you can. And if kind of dangling isn't much for you, hands to shins is a good option here. And you can do the same thing. So you stay grounded into your feet, but you kind of shift the torso a little bit from side to side. And you can even kind of take weight into opposite foot a little bit too, if you'd like. Sometimes that's a little better if it doesn't throw off your balance. Then we'll start to draw the belly in. Get a bend into your knees. Bring hands to your hips. Unhinge with a straight spine to standing. Pause here. So anytime we have our head low, we take just a second before we really move on to our next step. And when you're ready, we'll start to take our feet and we'll walk our feet all the way to the top part of our mat. And we'll check in here. So we want our feet about hip width apart. And again, I have my blocks up here waiting for me, hands in front of your heart. And take a moment here just to check in, just like we did from the floor just a little bit ago, where we just kind of check in with our breath and our body. And just notice how you feel here before we move on. We'll get strong into our belly, strong into our legs. We'll lengthen in through the front of the body. Find your back bend. On your exhale, we'll swan dive down, nice and slow. We'll find a half lift on your inhale. Inhale, hands to shins, straight spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, hands to shins, straight spine. Exhale, we fold. One more time. Inhale, hands to shins. We'll stay up here though this time. Little bend in knees, real tall here. So I'm going to try to think about my chest being as parallel to the floor as I can. And we just get strong into our belly. Just pause here a moment. And shoulders down away from ears. Then we'll take hands up towards our hips. We'll squeeze shoulder blades together. Keep that bend in your knee, straight spine unhinged, just standing again. And then we'll find, one more time, we'll find that back bend. So when you're ready, we inhale, we lengthen in through the front of the body, lengthen long. Exhale, swan dive down, nice and slow. And this time we'll reach for our blocks. We'll bring our blocks in. We want those blocks to be just inside, so they might even be touching your little toes. Keep your hands nice and strong to the tops of your blocks. Little bends in knees, always okay. Strong into your feet and legs. So we're going to start our high lunge here before we even start to step the right foot back. So we're strong into our feet and legs, sturdy and strong into our hands to our blocks. Right foot, when you're ready, takes a big step back, high lunge here. Even weight into your front foot. So sturdy here. Nice and strong. Shoulders down away from ears, belly strong. So even active into the legs. So kind of draw the thighs inward towards one another. So you're not really going to shift the feet to do this. You're just going to get stronger right where you are. And then we'll slowly start to lower down, but we're going to stay strong all the way down. Slowly start to shift the knee all the way down to your mat. And we'll let the top of the foot relax down. We'll sink forward into the front knee. Just find that action of moving left hip in the opposite direction of the right. And then we'll exhale, we'll find a nice straight leg. And you can take your block in your right hand back with you. We're going to repeat that one more time. So bring your block with you, shift forward into your knee so you can sink into the knee as much as you choose. On your exhale, same thing. So we shift back, so straighten into the front leg, block comes back with you, kind of works as a little crutch here. And then we'll shift once more, shift the block forward, shift ourselves forward, but your block in your right hand comes in. If you need a little support under the knee here, this is perfect. That's why we have our block, our blanket handy. So then from here, we're going to stay strong. So strong into your legs, strong into your feet. Left hand starts to come to left thigh. Start to open up your heart, open towards your left side. Lengthen left fingertips up towards the ceiling. And this lifting fingertips up towards the ceiling is always just an option. Sometimes I just like to leave the hand here just so that I can focus more on my twist. And we'll slowly start to shift back down. Hand comes back down to your block. Right block shifts over. Left foot steps back. Plant your hands behind your blocks. Curl your toes under, so make sure wrist and shoulders nice and lined up. Curl toes under, lengthen your plank, so nice and sturdy on your exhale. Downward facing dog. And this inhale shifts us forward. Come down to knees. Kind of shimmy your knees forward. Right foot shifts forward here this time. And we're going to get strong and ready, just like we did before, getting ready for our high lunge. So curl the back toes under, get strong and active into hands, arms, and shoulders. Take a moment to make sure your foundation feels good. And when you're ready, you can lift back knee up, nice and strong and sturdy into your front foot. Nice and active here. So remember, we're drawing the thighs just a little bit in towards one another. Kind of squeezing in towards the belly. Gaze just down at your big toe here. No need to look forward too much on head and neck here. So just pause right here. Just a couple of breaths. And we'll slowly start to lower back knee down, but let's stay strong all the way down. The back toe uncurls, will sink forward into your front knee. If you need a blanket underneath of the back knee, that's always okay. And on your exhale, we'll slowly start to straighten into the front leg. Take your block with you. And this inhale, we'll shift forward, sink into the front knee. And then this exhale, when you're ready, we can shift back. So bring your blocks with you. It's always nice to have them handy. And then we'll make our way back forward. Once we're here, wrist and shoulder nice and lined up. Right hand, right thigh, nice and active into our feet and legs. We're nice and open here. Want to feel like we're nice and stacked. You can lengthen right fingertips up towards the ceiling if you'd like. But again, sometimes I like to focus just on the twist and just staying strong here. So just having hand to the top of my thigh is enough here. And we'll slowly start to inch our way back down. Right hand, right block. Block in your left hand. We'll shift it off. Let's shift right foot back. Take your blocks off of your mat. Plant your hands, wrist and shoulders nice and lined up. Curl toes under, lengthen to your plank. So nice and strong and active in your plank here. On your exhale, your downward facing dog. And we'll slowly walk the hands towards the feet. So take your time to get there. Enjoy that whole process. And once you're here, just checking in. And we'll go hands to shins. We'll stay up this time though. We'll go hands to shins, straight spine, bend in knees, lengthen in through the crown of the head, reaching away from your sits bones. And then we'll take hands all the way to our hips, bend into the knees real good here. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, unhinge, come to standing. Pause here, check in. We always just give ourselves just 1 second before we move forward, and then we'll start to walk ourselves back up towards the top of your mat again. And I'm going to shift my left block out of the way just so that you can see me just perfectly. And just, you can leave yours where they are. Hands to your hips when you're ready. So I love to have hands to hips because this reminds me of how I'm standing and how I look and how I feel in my pose. So then from here, we're going to start strong, just like we did in our lunge pose that we did a little bit ago, where we start strong just where we are. So start to get strong and active into the body so that when you start to step your right foot back into your warrior one, that back foot goes to the 45-degree angle, you're already strong here. You're already strong into your feet and legs and nice and active. So shoulders down away from ears, those hip points are facing forward. And if you feel good here, you can even add some hands if you'd like to bring hands in goalpost here, where we bring our elbows and shoulders kind of nice and lined up best you can. So don't worry too much, just trying to keep them up high. And we're nice and strong. So strong in through the fingers, active into your feet. So even kind of grounding into the feet a little bit. And you might notice how that changes how you feel in your pose. Belly's strong. Then we'll start to open our hearts open towards the right side. We'll heel toe lengthen our stance a little bit here. Reach arms into a T position. Find your warrior two. And so check in a moment. And I always kind of check in with my front knee and ankle best I can. So we just want to make sure front knee and ankle's nice and lined up. And we want to think about center of shoulder, center of wrist best we can. So nice and strong into our feet and legs. So kind of notice here how strong you can be into your feet and legs and how that changes, how this all of a sudden becomes a little bit more of a hip opener. Then let's find a little bit of movement here today. So we'll start by straightening into the front leg. We'll lengthen arms up, so kind of like we're making an X shape with our body. And then on the exhale, we'll shift back down. We'll continue that. We'll inhale, we'll lengthen up. Exhale, we'll shift back down. And we'll just continue this. So we inhale, we lengthen up. Exhale, we shift down. We'll do that one more time. We'll inhale, we lengthen up. Exhale, we lower down. Let's find here an exalted warrior. So back hand relaxes down, front hand reaches up, exalted warrior here. Then this exhale, we make our way back down, back to our warrior two. Then start to reach forward. Bend the arm at the elbow. Drop it down to the top of the thigh to extend the top arm up. So we're nice and strong again into our feet. Check in with the front foot. We need that one to be a little bit stronger to support this extra weight here in the front of the body. So I'm even grounding into the back foot. So that's even going to lengthen this space a little bit more. Nice and active into our feet. We're going to really use our feet and our bellies, whole body, working together. Make our way back up to our warrior two. One more breath here. Then slowly let the arms relax all the way down. Then we'll heel toe, right foot in just a little bit until we can step it all the way forward, back to where we started. So checking in here. I'm just kind of noticing, sometimes I just bring my hands to my heart for a moment and just check in with how I feel. The whole right side of my body just feels a little bit different than the left. And just reminding myself that I'm creating all these changes, and that's what you're doing. You're creating this change. Then we'll bring hands to hips again, and from here, starting once more to be real strong already. So as we start to step the left foot back, we'll start to already feel strong all the way down into the legs and active. So we feel these hip points are facing forward. So when I went from this point here to this point here, my hips are facing forward the whole time. So I find myself strong and active into feet. And when you're ready, you can start to add arms if you'd like, and then kind of focus into the legs again. Just see if you feel as strong and active as you did before. Remember the front knee and ankle nice and lined up best we can. And sometimes you can kind of look around, kind of have to lean over to see a little bit, but we always want our knees and ankles to be nice and lined up in poses such as this. Couple more breaths here. Maybe curling the corners of your mouth. Then we'll slowly start to open our hearts, open towards the left side this time. And I always heel toe lengthen my stance a little bit, and I make my way warrior two. So lengthen here and find center of shoulder, center of wrist, best you can. And I like to gaze at the middle finger of my right hand, or the front hand. So that would be the one that's connected to this bent knee here in front. And then we'll start to find our movement. So we'll lengthen arms up overhead, straightening into the front leg. And then on the exhale, we'll make our way back down. And we'll just continue this. So we'll inhale, we lengthen up. And exhale, we shift all the way down. We'll just continue this. We inhale, we lengthen up. Exhale, we shift down. We'll just do one or two more. Inhale, we shift up. Exhale, we lower. Let's do one more. We'll inhale, we reach up. Exhale, we shift back down. We'll find back hand relaxes down, front hand reaches up, exalted warrior. Then exhale, make your way back down, warrior two once more. Then start to reach forward. Bend the arm at the elbow to bring it down to the top of your thigh. Extend top arm up. And if this arm extended is too much, you can always bring this hand down. Sometimes even hands to hips is perfect, but just make sure you're real grounded into your feet. So you're real strong in your front foot. You've got all this extra weight, but also don't forget the back foot. So we want to have that even weight there so that we feel like we're getting length here along the side of the body. And strong once more into your feet. So we're really going to press into the feet. We'll slowly engage the belly to lift ourselves back up, back to our warrior two once more. Then we'll let the arms relax all the way down. Let's step this left foot forward, your left foot, to find your block, and we'll turn and face forward here with a wide stance. So you can easily just take your block and set it down, or if you just want to have it in your hands with me, that's perfect here too. I'm just going to bring hands to hips, and you don't have to worry about how far away your feet are right now. We'll check into that in a moment. So when you're ready, we'll slowly start to hinge at the hips and lead with the chest. We hinge forward. So find, and I'm shifting my blanket out of the way here, so find that place where you feel you can really relax down here. And just pause here for a moment. If you need to heel toe lengthen your stance, that's always okay here. But I kind of like to go to a kind of just a neutral where I feel comfortable and I don't feel overextended, so I can focus on keeping my back straight and I can have a little softness in knees. And maybe just checking in with your feet and feeling if maybe you could shift the weight a little bit side to side for a moment, just kind of seeing what feels good here while you're in this pose, maybe shifting the weight forward or back. As long as you feel stable here in these movements. Then we'll start to find a nice straight spine. So we'll come up a little bit. If you have your feet as wide as they'll go, heel toe them in about an inch or so. And then find your block right underneath of your eye gaze, right hand underneath of your face here at the top of your block. And I have my block at its tallest height, left hand to the side of your block. I'm going to shift mine just a little bit forward so it's right underneath of my face. And then we'll inhale, we'll lengthen, open up for a twist. Open towards the left side. Then we'll pause here and just kind of notice. Do we need a little bit more bend in knees? Do we need to be a little longer in our pose? And this exhale, when you're ready, we make our way back down. We'll pause here. Taking our time, switch out the hands. So I bring my right hand all the way to the side of my block so that I'm already going to stay nice and open so that we open our hearts in that same plane as we open up towards the right side. And a little bend in knees is helpful here. This exhale will make our way all the way down. Once you come all the way down, just relax in. Notice whatever you need to do here, and that can just be allowing head and neck to be heavy. You can have hands to shins, calves, toes, to your mat, to your floor, whatever you choose here. And we'll start to heel toe our feet in. So start to bend the knees, a little bit more exaggerated. And eventually, let's come down to hands and knees here. And we'll take our blocks and just set these a little bit more over to the side. And we make our way to the top part of our mat. And from here, we want to make sure that we feel nice and strong again. So we're going to get ready for our plank pose. So we'll lengthen in through the front of the body here. And we get nice and strong and stable here. So strong here into our backs, into our bellies, into our arms and shoulders. On the exhale, we'll slowly find sits bones high, sinking into the heels. And this inhale brings us all the way back down to our table. We'll find just a little child's pose just to kind of regroup before we go to our next phase. And this inhale brings us up back to the top part of our mat. So we'll find from here, find wrists and shoulders nice and lined up. We'll curl toes under, we lengthen to our plank. And once more, this time though, nice and strong, let's exhale back, downward facing dog again. And then inhale back up to our plank once more. So wrists and shoulders nice and lined up, lower down to knees. Then stay strong right in through our hands, arms, and shoulders. Slowly bend into the elbows, lower down chest and chin. Strong in belly all the way down. Once you're down, let tops of the feet go flat. Start to shift arms forward so that our elbows and shoulders are nice and lined up. And then we'll just pause here, looking forward. And I say looking forward, but really I kind of look a little bit more like I'm looking kind of at an angle. So just kind of finding where we feel good here. And we're really quite relaxed here in this pose. So really the only work that's put into this pose is simply just the work that's needed to support ourselves here. We'll slowly, just to give our low back a break, let's shift our elbows out just a little until we can stack our hands and rest our forehead down, and then just let everything relax. Slowly start to inch your way back up. So we'll just go right back to where we were. So we'll find our elbows and our shoulders nice and lined up, fingertips spread apart. But this time we're going to take a next level. So we'll be nice and strong and active into our feet, our legs, our hands, arms, and shoulders, our fingers. So everything is nice and strong. So if you can think of another place that I've missed, everything is kind of like we're pressing it down into the earth. Then we'll slowly start to bend right knee. Then slowly take your gaze just over towards the left side. So we're not trying to look over the shoulder, just over towards the left. Slowly we'll start to return our gaze forward, lowering down the foot. Remember, our gaze is still kind of like we're looking at a little bit of an angle here. Then get strong again. So check in. We want everything to be nice and strong and sturdy like it was. Then left knee bends, gaze over towards your right side. And slowly return our foot down, our gaze just subtly in front of us. Check in, get strong again. Then this time, a little cramp. If you have a little cramp, just kind of wiggle the toes, kind of rotate the ankle. That'll help. Then from here, we're going to come up real slow. So nice and slow. Belly starts to get real strong. We'll slowly start to press into our knees, lifting our sits bones. Kind of shimmy your elbows in, and just until you can come down forehead to your mat. So little puppy. And just checking in here. And we want to take the next step to getting up real slow still. So start to shift your elbows in a little bit closer towards you. And then we'll go all the way to child's pose. So that can be hips all the way to heels. And again, if your hips don't quite make it there, this is perfect too. Just as long as you feel and that you can relax your forehead to your mat and that your arms and shoulders can relax as well. And this inhale brings us back up to our table. Let's take our blanket again, and we'll bring our blanket underneath of our knees. Sometimes I think cat-cows are nice to do after we do a little bit of that low back stretch that we did. So we'll just do it real simple, and we're going to do the one where it's a little bit more restorative. So we find wrist under shoulders, knees right out of hips, and then we'll slowly shine the light in the center of our chest forward. And then on the exhale, we'll slowly lower hips towards heels, head and neck goes nice and neutral. So take the first couple real easy, especially when you go to shift back. On the inhale, we shift forward. This is kind of more of what we were just doing. And on the exhale, we slowly lower back down. And this just kind of gets a little bit more length and a little bit more mobility into the low back again. We just inhale, we shift forward. And exhale, we shift back. So you can start to draw the chin in more towards the chest. You can really reach back. And just continue your pace, your breath. And when you get to your next one, so whenever you go to your next exhale, we'll really kind of get into this one a little bit more. So when you get here to hips down towards heels, maybe reach just the fingertips forward just a little bit more, really get some length, then settle down into a child's pose or puppy. This inhale brings us up nice and slow. Once you're up here, we'll come to our backs. So we'll find, you can shift your blanket just to the side and find your way onto your back. So I kind of find my way so that I want to make sure that I'm completely using the full length of my mat here best I can. And once you're here, draw your knees in towards your chest. And you can kind of find some movements that feel good here. So just kind of checking in with the low back and maybe making some circles. You can make some big circles with the knees, or you can go kind of right to left. And you choose. So I want you to have your blanket and your blocks maybe handy, just because I want to finish with a little twist for you before we kind of wrap things up here. So we'll slowly find some stillness, and arms can go into a T position eventually, but for now we'll just keep arms just to our sides, and we'll slowly, using strength in our bodies, to slowly shift the knees over towards the left side. So once you get here, so you have some options here with your block. So you can take block between knees. You can take block between legs here in general, where we kind of shift it between. You have the blanket here that can go underneath, or sometimes the block under the knees is really nice here as well. So you just find what feels good for you. Arms, when you're ready, can go into a T position and gaze over towards your right side. And this is a letting go pose, so we try to just let our bodies be heavy here. And we'll slowly start to bring our gaze back up towards the ceiling. We're going to use our belly muscles to help us lift our knees up. And then we'll start to shift over to the opposite side. So shift those knees over towards your right side. Gaze over towards your left when you're ready. And again, just finding a way that you can feel nice and heavy here. If that means you need more props on this side, that's always okay. We can't expect that both sides of our bodies are going to be perfectly even. We do so many different things throughout our day that isn't necessarily even or fair to one side or the other of our body. So take the time to nurture the whole body as needed. And we'll slowly start to shift our gaze back up towards the ceiling. We'll draw our belly muscles in to help us lift up our knees. We'll hug our knees in towards our chest. Just kind of find some right to left movements that feel good here. And then we'll release into the knees. We'll let the feet come flat to the floor. We'll bring our arms just to our sides. Roll your shoulders down nice and strong into our feet and legs. So we're going to actually act like we're drawing our knees towards one another, but we're going to keep them hip width apart. Engage the buttocks to lift the hips. So strong and active into our arms, strong into your feet. And ground into even the fingers, the shoulders, the thumbs, the palms, all the toes, especially into the heels. We'll slowly lower down nice and slow. Keep the buttocks engaged until you're all the way down onto your mat. And then once you're here, you can draw the knees in towards your chest once more. And then we'll release the knees. Let the feet come flat to the floor, and we'll lengthen our legs long. Then let your arms just relax to your sides, palms facing up. And let your toes just kind of fall to the side. And you can take your feet a little wider than hip width apart, but however you land, however you feel good is just perfect. Maybe kind of shake the head no a little bit here. And just to see if there's the right place to have your head and neck here. And just checking in with our breath again. And checking in with your body. And kind of just noticing how your body feels. So just making sure that you stay focused on your breath throughout our final relaxation. And that sometimes we'll find that our mind starts to wander, trying to think of things as we have this little spare time, but this time has its purpose. And so if you have thoughts that come in, that's okay, no judgment, but just don't get involved in the thoughts. Just kind of see them as thoughts and maybe like clouds floating away, that you can think upon that later. Right now, this is you. This is you and your breath. Eventually we'll start to wiggle our fingers and toes again. Maybe kind of stretch the feet, stretch the arms, whatever you need to do. Eventually start to find knees bend and feet flat to the floor. And then knees in towards your chest. Maybe little movements that feel good here. So there's no rush to get anywhere yet. We're still here, still taking our time in our practice. And then right arm, when you're ready, comes up over your head. And we'll roll over to the right side to elevate the heart. And we'll pause here. And then we'll use hands for support to make our way up nice and slow. And we'll find our way to a seat once more. And I'm going to take a second and find my blanket. And it's kind of not folded perfectly, but it'll be fine just for this little short segment of just sitting onto our blanket. And we find that blanket just underneath of our sits bones so that whenever we sit up, it just elevates the sit bones just a little bit so that our knees are just a little bit higher than our hips so that we can find ourselves sitting up nice and tall. And we'll just check in and just notice how we feel here. And just kind of comparing how we felt when we first began our practice today and how we feel now. I feel better. And just remembering and always reminding yourself that you're creating this change. You are doing this. So thank your body for the work that it does. But don't forget to thank yourself for taking this time out of your day to honor what you need. And thank you very much for joining me today. I always enjoy it. Thank you.